Buongiorno. I'd like to firstly thank Massimo, Stefania and all at Pet Levrieri for inviting me here to this important event, where not only we will be celebrating the joy of 20 Greyhounds and Lurchers meeting their new families for the first time, but also where we will have the opportunity to discuss with fellow advocates from around the globe on how best we can strengthen the greyhound protection cause and close down the industry, period. I was born with an inherent love for animals, and as a child had numerous small companions, but we were an army family, so having dogs was always discouraged by my parents to avoid any trauma if we couldn't take the dog with us to the next posting. Once leaving home, I then had the opportunity to care for dogs on my own home, and over the years I've had the fortune to enjoy many rescued dogs. I was first exposed to cruelty and secrecy surrounding greyhound racing when 30 years ago I went to Walthamstow Stadium. We used to go for a night out in the belief that dogs loved racing, and we saw no harm in having what we thought was an enjoyable evening for both hounds and humans. The enjoyment for both soon evaporated when one evening a poor injured greyhound was carried screaming off the track after a fall. I followed in hot pursuit to comfort the dog and make sure they were being treated. I was confronted by track officials and abruptly told the dog was okay, but was refused access to the kennels to check for myself. The next morning I phoned the track for assurances, but yet again was basically told that it was none of my business. By this time, the alarm bells were ringing loud and clear. Why were they being so rude to someone who had clear concerns for the injured greyhound? We never did go greyhound racing again, but the events of that night led me to look into dog racing further. Greyhound Action were Britain's only campaign group in the 1990s that called for a ban on dog racing. I began to follow their website and read about the thousands of dogs that were killed every year just to supply a betting product for the gambling industry. They carried the slogan, "You bet, they die," which perfectly describes the industry in just 4 simple words. My first encounter with a companion greyhound was in 1999 at a friend's house who invited me to meet her beautiful brindle boy. I was in awe of his strength, but also his gentleness. From that moment on, I desperately wanted to give a greyhound a home. And it wasn't until I retired in 2001 to the northeast of England, while volunteering for a local greyhound rescue, did I eventually adopt an ex-racing greyhound that had been dumped on the streets. He was a beautiful white and brindle boy, with the indignified racing name of Ringwatsy. Archie, as I called him, was my first greyhound love, and from that moment on I was smitten with these beautiful hounds. The stream of abandoned, injured, abused, unwanted, and unloved greyhounds that came in to rescue was endless, and it wasn't long before I realised it would be impossible to rehome them all. And always in the back of my mind, I questioned how many more never made it to rescue. Then in 2006, a national newspaper exposed a man living not far from me who had been systematically slaughtering greyhounds and burying them on his land for over 15 years. It was estimated that he killed 10,000 greyhounds, but at last the industry's conveyor belt of mass destruction was now well and truly exposed. Greyhound racing in the northeast of England was and still is quite popular, having 3 large commercial tracks and 3 smaller independent tracks within a 50-mile radius of each other. It was very difficult to gain support for local protests, and more out of frustration and the need to do something, anything, I founded Greyt Exploitations with the intention of doing more online research and investigation. Our first investigation was hugely successful, and following national media coverage, the largest greyhound breeder in the country, who'd been selling non-paid chaser puppies to Liverpool University for research and dissection, was closed down. The covert investigation, however, took its toll mentally and very nearly destroyed my soul. The suffering and cruelty I saw, and more importantly had to leave behind, will forever be etched on my mind. And it was a number of years before I gained the strength to undertake 3 more kennel exposures. Although we obtained national media coverage, the highly commercial kennels still remain in operation today. But the evidence we obtained helped to expose the industry, raise public awareness, and contributed to the government's recent consultation on greyhound welfare. Greyt Exploitations campaigns now focuses on 4 cruel practices that the industry depends on for its profits. The industry will always overbreed and destroy puppies that are too slow or disinterested in chasing the mechanical lure to protect profits. The industry will always make commercial decisions to destroy injured dogs to protect profits. The industry will always destroy greyhounds when deemed of no further use as a betting product, rather than finance their homing to protect profits. And the industry will always raise dogs on dangerously configured tracks in order to supply an exciting betting product for both punters and the bookmakers. The problem in the UK is further exacerbated because our government has given the industry the right to self-regulate and police itself. Despite the overwhelming evidence of the industry's failure to apply the most basic welfare standards, our government seem more predisposed to protecting the taxes generated from the gambling revenue rather than protecting the welfare of greyhounds. So what are Greyt Exploitations currently doing to expose the industry, raise awareness and lobby for laws to ban greyhound racing? We have invested heavily in equipment so as to monitor and record all the racing that has transmitted in greyhound protection course for 10 years, and over that time have seen it grow from strength to strength, gaining momentum every year, while the industry continues to rapidly decline, lingering on death row similar to the life that they bestow on so many greyhounds imprisoned in barren kennels, just waiting to be raced to death. I do not know whether I will ever see dog racing banned in my lifetime. It matters not. What is important is that we try our best to do what we can, where we are, with passion and determination, to bring an end to the horrific abuse of what must be the most exploited, yet most beautiful breed of dog in the world. Greyt Exploitations can only continue with your help to fight for the greyhounds until all are free. Grazie. Thank you very much for your time.